Hello and welcome to my tutorial on how to improve your Joomla backend with administrator overrides. So in another tutorial we've talked about overrides which were on the Joomla front end, so we're going to do them on the back end this time. We've had a tutorial on how to improve your Joomla admin by using the admin cPanel, in which case we've added here an advert, some helper videos and some buttons for shortcuts. So I'm just going to expand a bit further on this and show you how it's great having it in the cPanel, but perhaps you don't want to have it in the cPanel. Perhaps you think that's great, but they've always got to go back to the cPanel to find that helper video. It would be better if it's on the correct page, right? So here we are. Here's my adverts and my videos and stuff, and I'm going to show you how to. So I'm going to click on extensions, and I'm gonna open in a new tab my templates so I can have both windows to show you. Click on templates. I'm going to change it to administrator. You will probably see ISIS and Hathor and Bees. I've disabled a few of them because I don't use them, but ISIS is the default. So open that. You'll start on this editor page, and then if you click on create overrides, here are all the things you can override. So you've got your modules over here, you've got your components, you've got your plugins, and your layouts, which are kind of mini parts of a component or something like that. So let's first of all let's do cPanel, which we have already done in the past. So here's our cPanel, and here will help you to understand what area we're playing with. So we used the cPanel position previously, so we knew that. And here's where those things are going to appear. So um, if you're into your administrator and then your templates folder, choose the current template you're using, and then the HTML folder. So the great thing about this is once you do your overrides, they'll always appear in this HTML folder. And if you come with some great HTML overrides, you can copy them easily. Just download it and upload it to your other site, and they will have the same overrides applied. So this is a great way of making something that's reusable on other sites, even older sites. I would suggest with newer sites, you've created your overrides, you do an Akiba backup, and then you create your new site from that backup. But older sites, you could just copy the HTML folder, and bang, you've got all your overrides as well. You might not want to copy all of these, but you certainly want to copy anything that you've done. So if I show you now, remember I've gone into templates and I've gone to my create overrides, and I would just click on this cPanel, and it would create that. In fact, let's do it, and I'll show you it. So if I go into cPanel, and I had already created one, so it's created a second one. I'll delete that because I don't need it, but I'll show you what I did in this cPanel. Now, remembering that cPanel is this particular part of the website when you first log into your admin, and you know that from going to my extensions and my modules, and I've got my administrator, and I've been putting things in the cPanel position. So if we do position cPanel, there you go, you'll see all of the things that we did previously and some that are already there. So, you know, if I didn't want logged in users to be there, I would just disable it. But you can see I've got admin advertising, I've got responsive video, and I've got a customer message, right? And so if I go back here, here are the modules that we added in our other tutorial. But as you can see from me just showing you the logged in users is now gone, well, they could do that with your advertising or your videos, and they may not know how they did it, or might have clicked by accident, and it might be kind of annoying to try and fix that. So if we've created our cPanel override, so let's edit this one and have a look. And quite simply in this one, what I've done is right at the bottom, I've just created a div and I've just hard-coded this message. So now for them to see this message, great. For them to remove that message, they need to understand which file to look in and a little bit of code potentially. And so it's a little bit harder for them to delete. I don't know if you want to follow through and use this or not, but for me it was kind of a nice little thing to stick there. So I'll take you through some other things that I've created overrides for. So all I'm doing each time is create overrides, and I'm picking something, and I'm just global config, for example. Now, I'll show you the global config is here, and under here it's just called config, config. However, to find out what you are using, you just look at the URL as I showed you in the other tutorial, So it's administrator and it's index.php because we're in admin, but the option is com-config. And so I see here com-config, and I know that's what I'll be editing. Now in this case it's got application and component. I'm not really sure what component does, but I edited the application. So com-config, application, and then I just edit default. And if you open it up, you'll see that I've added this message: dear customer, don't touch these settings, we've configured your site for you. So now if I go into global config, you can see here the message that I've written. So I'll just show you quickly what I did initially. Let's actually do it so you guys can watch and see. The first thing I did was put it at the top, and it's above the form, which is normally the bit that does something. So if we now, let's upload that again, and let's have a look what happens. And I thought the message looked a little bit weird over here, and kind of related to the sidebar a bit too much. So in this case, I took it out of here, and I tried to work out what was going on. So first of all, you see sidebar. There's a dead giveaway what it is, and it's span 2, so you know it's narrow. And then this is the content, which is span 10. So I just stuck it in there, and let's be honest with you, it's just a div with some text. You can't really break anything, and you can always undo it if you do. And also because it's an override, you can always delete it and create a new override. So, but by putting it in the span 10 part, I moved it over to the side. I found it easier to read and a bit more relevant and a bit more noticeable. So that could be something useful for you to do. Now, I want you guys to think about how you guys can be creative. So if you guys do think about any good ideas I haven't mentioned, then please put them in the comments. Help me out. Give something back that I can use potentially. But yeah, so the main reason we do overrides is to avoid any Joomla updates would update potentially these files. If we do an override, we won't get overridden by a new file. But if you edit the file directly, it would do. So we'll move on now to com content, and I'll show you in the back end here, com content. And in this case, we've got article, singular, articles, plural, and featured. So let's have a look at the articles. Again, we are looking and we're seeing that we're in option com content. And in this case, if we click on articles, we see that the view equals articles. If we click on featured articles, the view equals featured. So now we know the difference between articles and featured. And if you couldn't already guess, article, singular, is when you click onto an article. You might be thinking that categories is not there, but if we click, we'll see in fact that categories is com categories. So it's a different component altogether for categories. It's just been shown in this view, but actually it's not part of the same component. So let's click through to article and click on an article, and I will show you the override I've done. So I've gone to article, and I decided to click on the edit one. There's a lot of things going on here, and by all means open them up, have a play around, see if you can work out what they do. That's the best way to learn in my opinion. But I've just done the edit one, and to me that seemed like the one I wanted to edit anyway. So in this case, when I was editing something, I decided, well, I put some videos in the cPanel position in an earlier tutorial, and that was cool. But what if the customer's in the article and they want to understand what they're to do there? Then they've got to exit the article, go back to the cPanel, and you know, it's a bit annoying. And then they've got to go back in, and oh, I've forgotten it again. I've got to go back out. So why not have the videos right there for them? So all I did was I had a look for the title, which is the first thing you see. And this was really the only thing that looked like the title. And it's called title_alias. And when you look, you could think, oh, that must be the title alias. But in fact, when you look, the title and the alias are on the same row and next to each other. So I think that this has probably got the title and the alias in one file. And that file is a JLayout file, which we talk about in another video. And there it's in the Joomla folder, edit, and then title_alias will be the file name. So I decided to go above this for my videos, and all I did was remembered my Bootstrap 2 classes, row fluid, and then I've got my span 2, goes from 1 to 12. 12 is full screen, full width, excuse me, and span 2 will mean it takes up 1/6, so there'll be 6 of them. So let me show you how it works, and here's my videos in my article edit. Here was my title. As I told you, I was looking for my title and my alias. So This is what gave me the clue that title alias wasn't in fact the title's alias, but it was in fact title and alias. Um, and here you see that I went above it with my videos and I put them there. For me, this is a little clunky. It takes up quite a lot of space, and I'm not sure I would finish with this. I would probably have some sort of button that expands it. It might even be nice if the button went into the toolbar. So that is J Toolbar Helper, which you could have a look at as well. But anyway, here's a good way to add some help videos for your clients. And I have done this in the past for articles, but also for events management components or shop components. Whatever it is, the customers will always find it a little difficult as a learning curve initially to understand, hey, there's loads of tabs here. But my God, how do I know what they all do? It's overwhelming, right? So a few options you can have is to hide some tabs potentially. You might even say, if it's not a super user, let's hide the permissions tab or something like that. I don't know, that's not necessarily useful, but an idea for you. So let's see how these tabs are created. So we'll go back into the code, and what you'll see is there's this bootstrap start tab set, and then you'll find bootstrap end tab, and add tab as well. So tab set is the beginning of all of the tabs. Add tab is one tab, and end tab is the next one. And then you find another add tab here. So if we have a look, we've got all of these tabs, and it should be kind of easy to work out what they do, because add tab, which is general, and it's article content by the look of this as a language string. And the next one is field set URLs and images. So it's going to be that one, because we know we've got your images there, and we know we've got our URLs. And if you carry on going down, you just find more and more and more. So show publishing options. So we know that that's going to be publishing. So that's how you work out what it is. Anyway, I hope that is a useful way to improve the editing of content in the articles view. But don't stop there. If you've got other components installed, have a look at how you can improve them as well. So then I moved on to, I've done cPanel, I've done content, I've done config, and I'm using Akiba article manager, so module manager, Regular Labs module manager. So here I've got an override. You can see that I've overwritten that. I've just done default, and I've edited it. And here you find my content here, row fluid, span 12, just bootstrap classes and a few divs, and it added my content. Now, this is Advanced Module Manager, which is by Regular Labs. There's a free version. If you're not using that and you're using the standard Joomla thing, then it's going to be com modules. And it's kind of, if you look, they've kind of got the same options: module, modules, positions, preview, select. So they are similar enough. So pick whatever. If you haven't got this one, then use modules. And I just added some content, and that's a nice way for me to help customers to understand. Okay, there's some more content here. You might find it easier to filter by page, or why don't you do front-end editing, and you might be able to identify the modules easier. Whatever it is, we could even do videos again, but whatever we want to do to make the whole system easier and more user-friendly for our users, so they don't go away saying, God, that was a complicated, impossible to use system, or I hate Joomla, or any of these things, when it's really unnecessary, because we have an option here to fix these problems, or make them the way we think is better. So let's move on. What else did I come up with? I came up with an idea for login. So as you're watching along, I'm hoping that now you can kind of guess that this has got something to do with a login. So we will log out, and here you can see I've added my massive logo for no reason, a bit too big, but I did all that in the back end, which I can show you in another tutorial. But you can see that I've added, here's my top output and here's my bottom output, and what you'll see is I did the top output at the very top before anything after. Always put it after this JX echo die, and then I've put that echo, and I've just echoed this one as well. Echo is just a PHP way of saying output that as a literal, so it will come on your screen. And yeah, what I've done, here's my top out, here's my bottom out, but it's not that useful really. But you might think of a way of saying for help and support do this, or in some cases, and I've turned on the two-factor authentication, and in that case there's a third box, username, password, and a secret field or something. I don't know, something about secret something or other. Now I install the two-factor authentication. I set it up for myself, but I haven't set it up for every single user on the site. So there may be multiple administrators with different jobs or things to complete, and they get confused by this secret field. And there's no way I can tell who needs to see it and who doesn't because they haven't logged in yet, so I don't know who they are. But what I could do is add a simple instruction saying if you do not have a secret password or whatever the correct term is, then just ignore that and use your username and login, and that'll be fine. Because I often get clients asking me, I don't know my secret password, and I can overcome that by saying if you haven't got it, log in anyway, and it should work. And that saves a support request, saves customer dissatisfaction, it saves them getting confused, and the perception that this is a really hard system to use, when in fact all they needed was that tiny little bit of information. So again, I hope you found that useful. And these are like just ideas that I've had. You go away and you have ideas yourself and you get creative with it. And please write in the comments. Like if you've come up with a fantastic idea, help me out. Put it in the comments. Let me hear your idea. Let everyone else hear your idea. See what else we can do to improve our customers' perception of the system we build them. So that's kind of it. So I will show you now. Just take you back to where we were. So we're doing an administrator edit. So we've gone into administrator. We're editing the templates. ISIS is the one we've been using, so that's what we've done. And it's always in the HTML folder. There's a few other files here which I didn't create, so you might want to not copy them if you use them. But if you want to do these overrides and then copy them to an old site that you did years ago, you just need to copy these folders that you've created or that Joomla has created using the override system. So remember, I've just gone into extensions, I've gone to templates again, I've gone to administrator, I found ISIS, and then I click on it and I create my overrides. And if I want to do action logs, I just click action logs. You can see it's told me that it's created an override. If I now go here and refresh, you'll see com action logs is there. If I wanted to do an override for action logs, I would go in there and do it. And then if I wanted to backport it to another site, I would just create all of these folders and make sure that in the old site I create put them in this HTML folder. I would suggest if you create a great override, I would do an Akiba backup, and for new sites I would go off of the Akiba backup to start your new sites up. But if you don't want to do that, say you're using a quick start template or something, you can still just copy these folders from the HTML folder in your overrides in your template. Put them in the other template. It doesn't have to be ISIS. If you had another admin template, not many people do, but if you did, you would be able to copy this HTML into their template. It might not work if they probably have different overrides system, but you could do that, or you could try to do that. And the reason we're using overrides, of course, is so that we don't get a problem if Joomla updates and overwrites these files. But I hope that has been useful for you. Hope it's given you some ideas, and I hope you guys come back to me and give me some ideas of how to improve this stuff. Please do follow us on social media. We're always posting about Joomla and web design and other things. Please do subscribe to my video or my channel. Please do comment if you like this video, found it useful. Someone commented on one of my other videos and it really inspired me to say, oh, you know what, he liked that. Let me show him some other tricks that I've been doing. Maybe that would be really useful as well. So I hope you found this useful. Like, comment, please do share it. Help me to get that traction. If you could put it in other places or share it on your Twitter or anything like that, I would absolutely love you to help me out like that. And if you've got any questions, do it in the comments or jump into my social media channels and ask me a question. I'd love to meet more Joomla guys and girls. Thanks for listening.